Yeah, I actually think I got it now, but I'm trying to test to see if it's on. Like it might actually be on right now, and it might be recording me. I'm trying to check it now because it's coming off of jedaiah today because I couldn't get the other page up. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. I needed. I don't know. It's a long story, but it wouldn't. But let me get out this phone and let me see. I think it's about to get going. Oh, it is. I actually think I got it now, but I'm trying to test it. Okay. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Well, as you all know, I'm Brother Jedaiah. Peace to you. I am here presenting to you Burning Midnight Oil. So look, I'm out of town. I know it's later than normal, only because it's midnight where I am. And at any rate, we are going to look at a very simple topic. Is hell really real? Or is it some kind of folklore or something? So, before we get into it, I want to read something to you about hell. Give me a second. I don't even know if it's streaming right now. That's my thing. See if it's on. I think I got it on. I'm trying to test it. Okay. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Well, as you all know, I don't see me. I'm Brother Jedaiah. Peace to you. I am here presenting to you Burning Midnight Oil. It's super delayed. So look, cool. My time. I know it's later than normal. And for those that are watching, and for those that will catch it, what will happen is you will be able to actually see it a little later on YouTube. Sorry, I really am. But again, like I said, I'm out of time, and it's midnight where I am, and we're gonna burn some oil. So at any rate, we are going to first look up hell on Wikipedia. So why do I like to use Wikipedia? Man, because everybody can get a hold to it. That's really all. It's no big deal. It's really just an encyclopedia. Information is information. You go and challenge the information you read regardless. People always have a big problem. Oh, this Wikipedia man did that, it got errors. Okay, we'll find the errors and then let it be known. So at any rate, hell. In religion and folklore, hell is an afterlife, location in which evil souls are subjected to punitive suffering, often tortured as eternal punishment after death. Religions with a linear divine history often depict hells as eternal destinations. The biggest example of which are Christianity and Islam, whereas religions with reincarnation usually depict a hell as an intermediary period between incarnations, as in the case of drama religion. Religions typically locate hell in another dimension or under Earth's surface. Other afterlife destinations include heaven, paradise, purgatory, limbo, and the underworld. Other religions, which do not conceive of the afterlife as a place of punishment or reward, merely describe an abode of the dead, the grave, a neutral place that is located under the surface of the earth. For example, Haiti, Ker, or Sheol. Such places are sometimes equated with the English word hell, though a more correct translation would be underworld or world of the dead. The ancient Mesopotamian, Greek, Roman, and Finnic religions included entrances to the underworld. Alright, so look. Basically, what they saying about hell, some of it is kind of accurate because if you really look at it, even with some of the different names, they're telling you that hell is the grave, and in some cases it is. To be honest with you, hell, like when you say tell somebody to go to hell,
it's like, you're talking about go to a location, but the word hell is really a condition. Like, one of my favorite rappers, Tupac, he said, "We probably in hell already. Our dumb butts just don't know it." Right? We are, according to the Bible, and we'll read that today. Hell have enlarged itself upon us. But now, is it a folklore hell or not? Like, is it real? Is the lake of fire real? That's what we're gonna learn today. And the lake of fire is very real. So of course, it's midnight or after midnight, and we are going to go through our 12 scriptures. Burning the midnight oil, hell, a real place or folklore. So we're gonna start this off at Luke chapter 12. Normally, I do have a reader. I could have had a reader today. Matter of fact, I could have got one of these brothers to read for me. But man, it's so bootleg today that it's just me, and I hope it turns out well enough. So at any rate, Luke chapter 12, verse 2 through 5. So hell, a real place or folklore. So in Luke chapter 12 it says, "For there is nothing covered that should not be revealed, neither hid that should not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear of in closet shall be proclaimed upon the housetop. And I say unto you, my friend," here's where we pay attention, "be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I forewarn you whom ye shall fear. Fear him which after he hath killed have power to hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him." So look, he's saying, like, look, first of all, at verse 4 and 5, he was saying, look, don't be afraid of somebody that could just kill the body, but they don't have more you can do. But I'm telling you, he's like, I forewarn you whom you need to fear. Be afraid of him that after you done died, he can cast you into hell. So one of the things that we understand is that, after your death, that's when hell happens. You know what I'm saying? The lake of fire. We're going to learn about that more later. You know what I'm saying? Or a place of torment. Okay? So let's go to Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2. Now, what we're going to do first is look at hell as the grave. And we're going to look at Jesus. Acts chapter 2. And we're going to pick it up in verse 22. It says, "Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you by miracles and wonders and signs, which God did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Him, being delivered by the determinate counsel," talking about Jesus, "and foreknowledge of God, ye have taken." So he talking to them, he's like, y'all done took Jesus. "And by wicked hands have crucified and slain." It's like, man, you done took Jesus, you done crucified him, you slain him. "Whom God have raised up." So he's like, but he raised him up, "having loosed the pains of death." So it was like he raised him up, taking him away from the death, because it was not possible that he should be holding of it. For David is talking about the book of Psalms. "For David speaketh concerning him, I foresaw the Lord always before my face. For he is on my right hand, that I should not be moved. Therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad. Moreover also my flesh shall rest in hope, because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell." So this is David speaking for Jesus, and he's saying that he wouldn't leave his soul or his body in hell. Now, what are we talking about? Like, did he go to some other world place like Hercules did in Greek mythology? No. He was like, "Therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad. Moreover also my flesh rest in hope, because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption." So he was like, because when he said you won't leave my soul in hell, and he was saying you won't let the Lord see corruption, because he in the grave. That's what we're talking about here. We're going to see that. And he was like, he resurrected him, because he told you that in verse 24, "whom God have raised up." So he's saying, like, look, and loose from the pains of death. So he was like, look, you didn't allow my body to see corruption. So, because he could have raised him up like 2 years later, and he would have had like half of a face. All right. "Therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad. Moreover also my flesh shall rest in hope, because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption." Thou hast made known to me the ways of life. Thou shalt make me full of joy in thy countenance. Men and brethren, so now somebody else speaking. Let me freely speak unto you of the patriarch David, that he is both dead and buried, and his sepulchre is with us unto this day. So they're like, look, we know David said that, but David is dead. Therefore, being a prophet, David was a prophet. Book of Psalms. And knowing that God had sworn with an oath to him, that of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he will raise up Christ to sit on the throne. He, seeing this before, spake of the resurrection of Christ, that his soul was not left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption. So notice what it said. What it said, his soul was, it wasn't like, look, when you begin to understand death, there is no such thing as death if you are dying and then you go to some netherworld or underworld or purgatory. Then you're not really dead. Like dead, we're going to see that in today. Dead is when you don't think anymore. Dead is you can't move. Dead is the people you see in the casket. They never get up. That's a dead soul. And the Lord was like, I didn't allow you to get to that point. Let's move on a little further. Let's go to Psalm chapter 18. Psalm chapter 18. And again, like I said, we're going to give you 12 scriptures. And in these 12 scriptures, as here burning the midnight oil, we're going to see is hell a real place or folklore. Excuse me. Psalm chapter 18. Psalm chapter 18. And let's start at verse 1. I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress, my deliverer, my God and my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. So this is the Lord talking. The sorrows of hell compassed me. So you see in one verse he said the sorrows of death. Then he turned around and said the sorrows of hell compassed me. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord, cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ear. So we still talking about Jesus, just like we was in Acts. And here he was saying, because the sorrows of death, and then it said the sorrows of hell. So in some cases, hell can be death, but it's not like you went somewhere. It's like for the living, then like it's hell for somebody to die. I can bear witness to that too. So let's go to Isaiah chapter 5. Isaiah chapter 5. We just, like I say, 12 scriptures. We're going to give them to you every Sabbath, Friday night at midnight. But it just so happened that my midnight tonight is Central Time, which is kind of dope. Isaiah chapter 5. And let's pick this up at verse 11 through 15. He says, woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue into night, till wine inflame them. And the harp, and the viol, and the tabret, and pipe, and wine are in their feasts. But they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hand. Therefore my people are gone into captivity. So his people, the Lord's people, is the children of Israel. Israel went into captivity because they have no knowledge. Their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. So he said it ain't like they multitude dried up for thirsty water. It's talking about the word of God, like blessed are those that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they should be filled. Like it's talking about the word of God. He's like our men are famished. They ain't getting the word. Then it says, therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. Their honorable men are famished. Their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell have enlarged itself. So it's saying here hell is a condition in this case. Like if you excuse me, sorry. If you was on drugs real bad, that would be a condition of hell. So he said hell have enlarged itself on us, on this people. Therefore hell have enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure. Why again? He put us in captivity because we don't have no knowledge. because our honorable men are famished. So our honorable men are famished. They don't know how to lead us. That's why we have accepted this gay rights thing, because we don't have honorable men to lead us in the right way at the appropriate time. They drinking something else. They drinking from the cup of Babylon. They're not drinking from the word of God. But at the end of the day, though, it said, "And hell have enlarged itself." So that means hell, the condition that we in now, that is also called hell. Let's look at it somewhere else. Let's go to Jonah. Jonah chapter 2. I was supposed to do that the other way, but it's all good. Jonah chapter 2. And we're going to pick this up in verse 1. Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord. And he heard me out of the belly of hell, cried I, and thou heardest my voice. So he in the whale's belly, and you seeing that Jonah called that hell. Coincidentally, Jesus said, just like Jonah was in the belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights, so shall I be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. That's the same hell. It's hell for Jesus, hell for Jonah. Let's move a little further. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 9, because what I want you to see is what happens when you die. And when you see what happens when you die, that helps you understand like hell and the lake of fire. Because that's what we're really getting at with this, the lake of fire. Hell is a term that's used to describe things. The lake of fire is a place you're going to go if you don't keep God's commandments. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, and I'm going to start at verse 1. Excuse me, we're really so tired, but I've traveled all day and haven't slept. For all this I consider in my heart, even to declare all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. No man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before them. All things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, to the good and to the clean, and to the unclean, to him that sacrifices and to him that sacrifices not. As is the good, so is the sinner. And he that sweareth, as he that feareth an oath. This is an evil among all things that are done under the sun, that there is one event unto all. So one thing gonna happen to all mankind. Yea, also the heart of the sons of men are full of evil, and madness is in their heart while they live. And after that, they go to the dead. For to him that is joined to all the living there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. Why is that? Because that dead lion, just look the book say, for the living know that they should die, but the dead know not anything. So when you die, you don't know anything. There is no waiting place for you. Nothing. Your thoughts are gone. And another place it says, the day you die, your thoughts perish. Neither have they any more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, hatred, their envy is now perished. Neither have they any more portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. So like when you die, you don't have anything else. There is no Sheol or anything weird that you go to as you wait. Like what if I put you in hell and then on judgment day, it was a mistake? Like you're going to be looking at me like, yo, I just did 2,000 years burning. Because we're going to see that. But that's not the case. Let's go to Daniel now. So you die, and we're going to go to Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. Daniel 12 verses 2 and 3. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth, so that's the grave, shall awake. And that's where you are, in the grave, in the dust of the earth. And it says, and many of them that sleep, they shall awake. Some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. So look, he say that some people gonna resurrect everlasting shame and contentment. Some people will. And some people will get everlasting life. So you go from the dead to the resurrection at the appointed time. Like Job said, hide me in the grave until my change come. Till your wrath be past. That's what he really on. Matthew chapter 3. That's where we're going next. Matthew chapter 3. Matthew chapter 3, and we are at actually scripture number 8. This is very easy, but I felt it important to put it in here, burning the midnight oil, because I know that like people, they don't believe, like some people don't believe in hell. Some people believe you burn up to a crisp. You know, some people think that's too cruel of a punishment. Like, nah, he made it for Satan. That's what he made it for. So you happen to fall in there because you was following, because you was a seed of Satan, because you was doing what he had you doing and not what the Lord had you doing, then that's where you're going to go. Matthew 3, 11 and 12. I indeed, this is John, baptize you with water unto repentance. But he that cometh after me is mightier than I, whose shoes I am not worthy to bear. He shall baptize you with the Holy Ghost and with fire, whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor and gather his wheat into the garner. So he's going to grab the wheat, but he will burn up the chaff with the unquenchable fire. So like he's comparing the chaff to the people that's going to the lake of fire. He's saying that's an unquenchable fire. That's the unquenchable fire. Let's go over to Matthew chapter 5. I'm going to start reading at verse 17. So Jesus is out here and he's preaching to the multitude. And this is where you find like the Beatitudes. Blessed are the meek, blessed are the pure in heart, so on and so forth. So then he continues, and then he gets to a point where he says, think not that I am come to destroy. So like many people think not that I am come to destroy the law. See, many people think that Jesus came here and his job was to get rid of the law. No, he's the lawgiver. Or the prophets. He ain't come to do none of that. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, to all be fulfilled. Oh, I'm sorry. Jesus have mercy. So he said, look, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass, till all be fulfilled. So he's like, look, I ain't changing none of that stuff, right? Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men, so shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. Hey, but whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. That's what you want. You want to be great in the kingdom of heaven. The reality is you just want to get to heaven. But watch this. For as I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. So like, look, that's the lake of fire. I'm going to prove it. Then he says, so he begins to explain himself to them. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever kills should be in danger of the judgment. So like, gee, this is what the scribes and the Pharisees is bringing too. But then he goes deeper with it, telling you how you're supposed to love your neighbor. Love your enemy. You know what I'm saying? Well, actually, not there. But not being not being angry with your brother without a cause, so on and so forth. But then verse 26, he says, verily I say to you, wait a minute. That's not what I'm supposed to be jumping to. 27. So now we at the next one. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart, in his mind, right? And then he says, he skips down to verse 30. And he said, no, verse 29. And if thy right hand offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. So this hell he talking about here is the lake of fire. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off, cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. So he's showing you your whole body now, we see, can go into hell. All right, and we're not talking about the grave now. Let's go over to I'm gonna keep my order because I had switched it, right? but I'm gonna take it back to that same order. No, let's go to Revelation. I'm gonna go with the switch. Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20. So we're gonna now see how it actually works. When do you go to hell? Revelation 20. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, bound him 1,000 years, right? So he bound him 1,000 years, talking about Satan. This is Jesus' kingdom. Like when you do the Lord's Prayer, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. That kingdom that's coming will be here for 1,000 years. And the reason will be such a kingdom is because Satan gonna be locked up. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, bound him 1,000 years, cast him to the bottomless pit, shut him up, set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the worship of God, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. So it's just showing you when Jesus is here, they get to reign with him for 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead live not again until the first resurrection. 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. So the first resurrection is when Jesus comes back, set up his kingdom, and Satan's going to be locked up for 1,000 years. Now it reads, blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. So that's our objective. We're trying to make it to the first resurrection. Why? On such the second death have no power, but they should be priests of God and with Christ and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So look, if you can make it in the first resurrection, you are now a son of God, a son of the resurrection, and death won't have no power over you, right? Verse 7. Excuse me, you guys, I'm going to do a test real quick. I just want to make sure that we are still engaged here. Let's see.
Only because it's midnight where I am. And
okay.
On such the second death,
all right,
have no power.
Thank you. Sorry, y'all. Verse 7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of who is the sand of the sea. So when you get into Jesus' kingdom, it's still going to be people there, Gog and Magog. It's going to be all kind of people. The children of Israel will be there. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and false prophet are, and they should be tormented day and night forever and ever. So this is the lake of fire here, and you see that the beast and the false prophet, we didn't read in chapter 19, they was the first two to go, the Antichrist. You're going to actually be able to look over and see these two people in the lake of fire while we're here in Jesus' kingdom. That's amazing. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they should be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for him. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the stones were open before God. And the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. So he was like, look, everybody getting judged right here. This is judgment day. Then he said, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So now we're seeing that the lake of fire is the second death. Let's learn some more. Let's go to Matthew chapter 25. Matthew chapter 25. We got what? One more after this? And that will conclude our 12 scriptures. And hopefully we can get it. I think we can do this. I think that we can broadcast more on the Philly page for one. But I think that we can, and 12 scriptures get a decent understanding. Books say by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Matthew 25, we're going to look at the parable of the talents. For the kingdom of heaven, that's what we're talking about. Heaven, hell, heaven. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability. Straightway he took his journey. So he gave everybody what he felt like they needed. 1, 2, 5, whatever. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, made them other 5 talents. So he went and multiplied his. Likewise he that had received the 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. And after a long time the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 talents more. Good man. And he said, and the Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. So that's just like getting into the kingdom. It's about the kingdom. It's like, I'll make you ruler over many things if you could deal with the things that we got here today. Verse 22. He also that had received talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strong. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. He's like, take it, it's yours, right? His Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strong. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto them that have 10. So he's like, take his away, and then what we're going to do with him? For unto everyone that have shall be given, and he that have abundance, but from him that have not shall be taken away, even that which he hath. Cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There should be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So this lake of fire is, and at the end of the day, it's going to be cast out into outer darkness where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So it's a real place, y'all. Let's go to our last one. Isaiah 66, right? Isaiah 66. As a bonus, Revelation 21 and 8. Isaiah 66. Isaiah chapter 66. I appreciate that. Isaiah 66. And we got our last one here. And again, as we burn this midnight oil, hopefully you can, like, I gave you opportunity to learn about hell in 12 scriptures, straight up. You know what I mean? Like, you can go and do your own homework and add upon it and build upon it. It's more. I know about the parable about Lazarus and the rich man and all that, which was a parable. Brothers and sisters, y'all got to know what parables are. Parables are stories. They don't have to be true. Ain't nobody in hell right now. Nobody. Not in the lake of fire. They might be in the condition of hell, like the grave. or at the hospital sick, but nobody is in hell right now. Lake of fire right now. Isaiah 66. I'm going to read verse 21 through 24. And I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, saith the Lord. For as the new heaven and new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, there shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. So this is Jesus' kingdom. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcass of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die. So when we talking about that lake of fire, he like, man, ain't no death in there. But it's the second death, but there ain't no death for you. Then he says, neither shall their fire be quenched. And that fire ain't never going out. And they shall be in a pouring into all flesh. So, brothers and sisters, I hope that in 12 scriptures we was able to burn that midnight oil and see hell a real place or folklore. Hell, the lake of fire, that's a real place. It's the punishment, cheating. It's the punishment that God set forth for, like I said, really, when I said I'm cheating, because I am going to read one more. I'm going to read one more as part of my outro. He said, no, that's not the one. Might be in Peter. But really, he said he made the lake of fire, for Satan and his angels. That's in the Bible. I could look it up, but we already got our 12 in. But brothers and sisters, the lake of fire was made for Satan and his angels, a spiritual being. Once you resurrect, you'll become a spiritual being. And if you did as your father, and your father was God, Jesus Christ, that way, the 10 Commandment God, you'll get into the kingdom of heaven. But if your father was Satan, you'll go to the kingdom of Satan, which is in outer darkness. It's just that simple. How do you know who your daddy is? Man, start keeping these commandments. Real talk. So, brothers and sisters, I hope we got some understanding. And as always, I leave you with one man plant, another man water, but it's the Lord to get an increase. And I thank you for your time. And next week, we should be back on the Philly site, Lord willing. Peace.